Welcome everybody. I've got some huge buffs for Golbat and Crobat. Despite the bulk and HP loss, Crobat is now much bulkier because of the ability Intimidate. It's a very strong mixed attacker, especially with the ability Ruthless, which I'll get into in a second if you are a new viewer here. And it's much faster, which might seem like overkill, but in a ROM hack like this with a lot of faster Pokemon, Crobat being in that top 10% speed tier, maybe even top 5% speed tier in the game is really good for Crobat, especially because you're not guaranteed max speed IVs or a plus speed nature or anything like that. So having 145 base speed will make you actually outspeed, like for example the AI with a base 115 speed Pokemon or 105 speed Pokemon, which are very common, or not very common, but a lot more common. With like a plus speed nature and max speed IVs. Point is, the speed buff might seem unnecessary, but it's not in a hack like this. It's pretty appreciated and it fits Crobat really well. And before I get into any more of the really cool buffs and changes for these guys, I do want to have a disclaimer. If you're a new viewer here, check out that link in the Google Sheet. In the description. There's a Google Sheet linked right there in the description below, and you can check out all 600 plus move buffs and changes. If you click the sort of link right here, it says search all moves here, move guide. You can look at all 600 plus of them. They're organized into several different categories. One of the important categories for this case, I mean, all of these moves are extremely important. Again, it's 600 plus move buffs and changes, but yeah, if you click right here, hold on, what's the crit moves? Am I blind? Here it is. Yeah, you can see here there's 50% crit moves, and what Ruthless does is it makes any move that lands a critical hit deal 50% more damage. It functions like Sniper, which fits Crobat really well. You might be thinking, you know, Intimidate doesn't fit Crobat the best, and I would be inclined to agree. It fits Golbat a lot more. However, in the older renditions of these guys, in the older video, and you know, just in the past, they had Aerolate, which seems cool, but it's kind of bad, especially when your secondary ability is Ruthless, which gives you a much higher boost. Aerolate is just kind of useless and not that good. Yeah, I did remove Brave Bird because I don't like giving Brave Bird to non-bird Pokemon. However, Crobat does get Dive Bomb, which is Flying Type High Jump Kick, which is even stronger than Brave Bird by 5 points. And you have other good physical stab moves in the form of Dual Wing Beat, which is overall 90 base power and has a good flinch rate, and then Acrobatics, which is 110 base power with no item or a Flying Gem or something. So, you know, you got good stab options, regardless of not having Brave Bird anymore. And I just don't like the logic of it letting Brave Bird, sorry. But as for, yeah, the whole line is really bulky. Golbat with the Violite and Intimidate is really, really tanky, which I love. I low-key prefer Golbat's design over Crobat. I don't like Crobat's humanoid teeth. However, that's not to say that Golbat is better than Crobat, because Golbat has a great ability in Merciless, but Ruthless is a much stronger ability in terms of the raw damage output. Because with Ruthless, you can use moves that will crit 100% of the time. So using your 90 base special attack, you can use moves like Aero Blast and Heat Wave, which will always crit, and then you have a bunch of 50% crit moves on the physical side that will always crit when you hold a Scope Lens, and with your high speed stat, that's a really good thing. So you can use Cross Poison, and then you have X-Scissor, Slash, Psycho Cut, and Laceration for coverage. So those are really good for Ruthless sets, and then you also have other things like Sky Attack and Razor Wind, which will always crit, and those are extremely powerful moves with Ruthless. If you click this little link here on the ability, it'll take you right to it, and you can check out all the moves that are affected by it. While Merciless, not only does it fit Golbat really well, it's also a really good ability. Even if you don't run a Violite Golbat, it's still really good up until level 30, 32 or 33, whenever they evolve. Because you can abuse Toxic Spikes TM. So they now get T-Spikes via TM. Pretty much every poison type does, and then a bunch of other Pokemon get T-Spikes via TM, so you don't even have to run it on Golbat specifically. You can run T-Spikes on somebody else and then Parting Shot into your Golbat with Merciless with your good speed stat and your 85 base attack and 75 base special attack. You can either get Venishocks going, or just any attack for that matter will be very strong, and it will always crit. So definitely worth it for a lot of boss fights, especially totems. You can use Toxic and then, you know, crit them through their defensive boosts or whatever. All types of really fun things you can do with Merciless, but Ruthless is a lot more straightforward in terms of the damage boost. It's a lot more consistent because you don't need those T-Spikes up, or you don't need to poison the opponent. You also have moves that will always poison. For example, Barrage is a move that hits 3 times and will always burn, and that's overall 60. Sorry, always poison, and that's 60 base power overall. But yeah, like I said earlier, you've got a bunch of 50% crit moves on Crobat. You also have First Impression, Finishing Blow, Solar Blade. I am not positive that I gave. I'll go check real quick. And then you have moves like Aero Blast and Heat Wave. So the special Ruthless sets are actually a lot stronger because, well, the physical Ruthless sets have poison moves like Cross Poison, and they have a lot more coverage, while the special Ruthless sets only have Aero Blast and Heat Wave, but those two moves together are pretty damn good. So, you know, you can run Ruthless plus Aero Blast plus Heat Wave plus, you know, regular special moves like Sludge Bomb and all that other stuff. However, Crobat is best for a lot of fights as just a fast utility Pokemon with Intimidate. Like I said earlier in the video, despite losing Bulk, which by the way, I think these stats make a lot more sense for his design anyways, I don't see him personally in the semi-pseudo legendary. I just don't think it really fits him. So I didn't go for 575 base stats total. I think 550 is pretty fair. 80, 70, 70 with Poison and Flying dual typing, and Intimidate is still great. And if you want the sheer bulk, you do have Golbat right there. You also get two incredible moves in the form of Strength Sap, which fits because they're like vampiric bats that, suck the life force from the opponent. And then Mesmerize. Mesmerize is a 100% accurate sleep move. Sleep is reworked in this hack to always last for 2 turns. So that essentially means with Mesmerize, you'll be getting off, especially on Crobat, because of how fast you are, you're basically always going to be going first in, say, 75% of the cases. You click Mesmerize, you have 1 guaranteed turn of setup, so you can use Swords Dance or Nasty Pot if you want, which only have 1 PP anyways, or you can Parting Shot into your next teammate if you want. Golbat actually might be better with Mesmerize in some cases because of its lower speed. It's still fast at 105, but without max speed of a 0 plus speed nature and 0 speed investment, excuse me, which you can easily run for certain boss fights because you do have access to infinite EV training items in this hack. And also, by the way, if you are new here and you listen this far into the video, you also have access to infinite use ability capsules and all this other stuff to customize your Pokemon to the maximum extent. Same goes with all of these TM and tutor moves that you get access to now. So that's really fun. But as I was saying, Strength Sap is an incredible move on them because of how fast they are and how good their typing is. Poison and Flying is really good defensively. It has a lot of useful resistances. It 4 times resists Poison, Grass, and Bug. Having that 4 times Bug resistance in a hack like this is huge. All of the Tinted Lens Bug types, you still resist their moves. You can switch it on First Impressions really easily, and all these other scary bug type moves that are running around now. Bug types in general are a lot scarier because less things resist them now, so definitely worth, having that Poison Flying dual typing is very valuable, is my point. You also resist Fairy and Poison, so you have really good resistances overall, and only 4 weaknesses: Electric, Ice, Psychic, and Rock. Not bad at all. And then you also have a Ground Immunity, so Poison Flying, very, very good dual typing, especially when you consider the fact that Black Sludge is buffed to heal you by 12% HP per turn. So obviously Golbat is going to prefer a Violate once you get it, but it's not always going to need to run it. It can run boosting items for certain fights because it is still pretty strong with Merciless and its good speed. And then you could even technically run Black Sludge plus Strength Sap and run a Violate on another one of your allies, because you won't get to buy more you won't get to buy more Violates probably until like Tapu Village or something. So you only get the one for most of Ululu Island and the end of Akala Island. So yeah, that's really fun in general. And obviously buff Black Sludge plus Intimidate plus Crobat is great. You can just use Roost and buff Black Sludge and kind of live forever, despite the fact that your bulk on paper is not very good. Like I said, with Intimidate and all this other stuff, it makes you a lot bulkier, and you also have Parting Shot and you're very fast. It's such a great utility Pokemon. That's what I would use Crobat as. But of course, for certain fights, you can slap on that Ruthless and go for the power boost, because 95-90 without that boosting ability is not that good, although you do have really strong moves and good coverage. But with the Ruthless, it becomes much, much stronger. There are far stronger Ruthless Pokemon. He's actually probably one of the weaker ones in terms of raw damage output, but that's not everything. Obviously, you don't need raw damage output if you're already one-shotting things or killing the things that you need to kill. You'd much prefer the utility and the speed and the bulk and all this other fun stuff that Crobat has. Zubat has Unnerve, which is just fitting. It'll evolve just in time for Hala. So, I mean, Golbat is like probably in the top 5 mons in the game that you can use for Hala, probably, because of that 4 times resist and because of Intimidate and the fact that it's not weak to other like common coverage moves that he'll have, like Dark and all this sort of stuff. You're only really weak to Rock and maybe Ice and other stuff that he'll use. In general, it's just a great Pokemon. Golbat is really fun. I would probably not evolve unless I needed the speed or had another Violate Pokemon. Or if I needed Ruthless or something, but I don't know. I just prefer Golbat's design. But of course, if you like Crobat, I'm sure you'll love these buffs. Because they're huge. It's great for both Golbat and Crobat. They feel so much better from the older renditions. The older ones were kind of mid. Aerolate, like I said, is very mid on these guys. It's not really worth it. It's not a strong enough damage boost with their meager offenses. And I don't really personally see 100 base attack on Crobat. Like, he is just kind of he's just a head with wings. I don't see 100 base attack personally. So I think these stats are pretty generous. And they're probably the best distributed for him. So yeah, overall, it's got other good coverage moves via, TM and level up, like Takedown and Focus Blast and Headbutt and all this other good stuff. The Headbutt isn't new. Pretty sure that's not a new move. Hold on. Pretty sure they got that. Yeah, I don't know why that's listed as plus. I knew they got that. Yeah, First Impression, very good. Even though you are fast with Ruthless, it's still nice to check faster offensive things for certain boss fights. Good coverage. It's just got so many fun things to use. Really, really fun Pokemon. Very good, fast, offensive, utility type Pokemon. Great abilities, great moves. Super cool. Great typing. Lots of ways that it benefits from all of the buffs and changes to move and attack outside of the obvious, stat changes and abilities. But yeah, anybody who doesn't like Intimidate on them, sorry, I don't know what to tell you. I think it fits fine. Like, he's a fucking scary bad Pokemon. Like, it's fine. And I felt like they were very mediocre without it. So now they're much better. Yeah, all right. Thank you so much for listening, and peace. Again, make sure you do check out that link in the description. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, by the way, if you listen this far into the video. I appreciate it. Peace.